In speaking on anything germane to the business of the city of Manitowoc? Yes, just state your name, please, for the record.
I was just hoping not to be the first one at public input again. I was looking around. Theresa Collins, 859 North 11th Street, Manitowoc. I'm here representing the local organization Crusaders of Justicia in reference to tonight's agenda item 20-1048, status of alderperson as qualified elector. Here we are again. At Crusaders, your fight is my fight, and together it's our fight. If you are tired of hearing about this non-issue, you are not alone. Yet here we are again, taking up time that most would agree would be better spent elsewhere. Alderman Sitkiewitz, you opened with a prayer tonight that said that we will be setting the course for our city that will guide us into next year. How fitting. Please own your words. And the rest of you, take his prayer to heart. Alderman Bailey has yet again come under further scrutiny by his oppressors. To be clear, yes, Alderman Bailey does indeed live at his primary residence in District 7, and he also has a secondary residence on 8th Street. We have gone to exhaustive lengths to provide evidence for this, no matter how ridiculous the initial accusation seemed. We provided 6 notarized sworn affidavits from his closest neighbors, a notarized statement from his roommate, 9 recent rent receipts, several household bills in his name, correspondence from his landlord, and his voter registration information, all indicating his primary residence is in District 7. His accusers provided nothing but apparent conversations with his exes and a lease agreement from his secondary residence. How many times and in how many ways is Alderman Bailey going to be targeted and doubted? If I was up there where you're sitting right now, I absolutely would not tolerate this audacious bullying. Who will have the nerve to speak for the people they represent? But instead of pointing out this obvious witch hunt, it seems much easier to sit there quietly, or even to launch additional assaults at Alderman Bailey, blatantly calling out his integrity. At the last committee meeting of the whole, we got to hear Alderman McMeans talk about him taking pictures of Alderman Bailey getting out of a driver's seat of a car. It seems he was allegedly driving without a license, and apparently that is further evidence that he doesn't live in District 7, as construed by Alderman McMeans. I'd like to ask you, Mr. McMeans, why were you taking pictures of Alderman Bailey getting out of a car? What possibly could your motive have been? To show he was driving without a license, apparently, so he must not live where he says he lives. Let me tell you something. I grew up in poverty, and I lived in foster care for the majority of my childhood. My mother drove without a license almost every time she drove. You see, as a single mom, she had no choice when the bus routes weren't running, when she needed to get to work or to the grocery store. Would you call her integrity into question for this? Guess what? She's homeless too. So I guess that she would have no hope of sitting up there among you all. Has there ever been a time when you or a friend of yours has neglected to buckle your seatbelts while driving? If so, is that a reflection of your personal integrity? Are there others up there who have committed even more egregious actions? Should I never believe anything you say again? And Alderman Brey, you could not have been more obvious in the public meeting where you basically openly begged for anyone in the community to come forward against Alderman Bailey with a formal complaint. Nobody was fooled. And look, you got someone to answer your call. John Fessler, no less. Anyone who knows John or has seen one of his many extreme Facebook posts knows exactly what his motivation is and why he answered your call. How long will you allow this to go on? When will it stop? When will you finally recognize what this is really about, at least up front? I have heard a couple of you in private admitting you see this as a racially motivated issue, yet God forbid you actually speak to that out loud. What happened to authenticity? If you feel like this is wrong, why won't you discuss it out loud? Why are we discussing all of the peripheral issues here? Why are we talking about his ex-girlfriend, his driving record, and his court documents? Why haven't I heard a single one of you ever reference any of the massive amounts of evidence that we have presented showing he indeed lives in District 7? Not one person has made reference to any piece of evidence that we've submitted. Many of you up there have asked me, how are we supposed to get diversity on council? How are we supposed to get people to run? And my answer to you has always been to create a friendly environment and use your voice to stand up for what's right. For those of you purporting to want diversity on council, here's your opportunity to try to create a more friendly environment for diversity. Just know, every time you call on the community to attack Alderman Bailey, all of Crusaders will be standing here behind him. Alderman Bailey, your fight is my fight, and together it's our fight. Thank you.